Welcome to Mr. Beebop. The Murder of Roger Ackroyd is a work of detective fiction by British writer Agatha Christie, first published in June 1926 in the United Kingdom by William Collins, and in the United States by Dodd, Mead and Company. It is the third novel to feature Hercule Poirot as the lead detective. Agatha Christie brings him out of his would-be retirement. Known for its startling reveal, this is the book that changed Agatha Christie's career and made her a literary superstar. Here are some interesting facts and trivia about the novel. The Murder of Roger Ackroyd was Agatha Christie's first book to be published by William Collins in the spring of 1926. William Collins became part of HarperCollins, and are still Christie's publishers today. The book is set in the fictional village of King's Abbot in England. It is narrated by Dr. James Shepherd, who becomes Poirot's assistant, in place of Captain Hastings, who has married and settled in the Argentine. Christie's dedication in the book reads, "To Punky, who likes an orthodox detective story, murder, inquest, and suspicion falling on everyone in turn." Punky was the nickname of Christie's sister and eldest sibling, Margaret Madge Frary Watts. Despite their 11-year age gap, the sisters remained close throughout their lives. The novel was well received from its first publication. In 2013, the British Crime Writers Association voted it the best crime novel ever. It is one of Christie's best-known and most controversial novels, its innovative twist ending having a significant impact on the genre. Howard Haycraft included it in his list of the most influential crime novels ever written. The short biography of Christie, which is included in 21st century UK printings of her books, calls it her masterpiece. Set in the peaceful village of King's Abbot, Poirot is enjoying his retirement and anonymity while he puts his mind to the simple pleasure of growing vegetable marrows. This peaceful existence is not to last, however, when a murder is committed, and he is called in to help. Roger Ackroyd was a man who knew too much. He knew the woman he loved had poisoned her first husband. He knew someone was blackmailing her, and now he knew she had taken her own life with a drug overdose. Soon the Evening Post would let him know who the mystery blackmailer was. But Ackroyd was dead before he'd finished reading it, stabbed through the neck where he sat in the study. Is his murder connected with the two earlier deaths? A village doctor partners with Poirot, who quickly realized he is more suited to detecting than gardening. With a massive inheritance, stolen money, secret relationships, and illegal drugs thrown into the mix, there are plenty of mysteries to solve in this case. Hercule Poirot. Retired from his role as a private detective, but resumes his profession when requested to assist in the investigation. He is a friend of the victim. Dr. James Shepherd. The local doctor, Poirot's assistant in his investigations, and the novel's narrator. Inspector Davis. Local inspector for King's Abbot, and the investigating officer. Inspector Raglan. Police inspector from the nearby larger town of Cranchester. Colonel Melrose. Chief constable for the county. Roger Ackroyd. The victim of the case. A wealthy businessman and widower, who is distressed by the recent death of Mrs. Ferrars, the woman he wished to marry. Mrs. Ferrars. A widow who was rumored to have poisoned her husband Ashley Ferrars, a mean alcoholic, commits suicide at the start of the novel. Mrs. Cecil Ackroyd, widow of Roger's brother Cecil. She and her daughter have been living at Fernley Park for the past 2 years, and are financially dependent on Roger. Flora Ackroyd, Ackroyd's niece, Cecil's daughter, requests Poirot's help to investigate her uncle's murder. She is engaged to Ralph at her uncle's request, unaware her fiancé has already married Ursula Bourne. Captain Ralph Peyton, Ackroyd's stepson from his late wife's previous marriage, referred to sometimes as his adopted son, secretly married to Ursula Bourne, and the police's prime suspect in the murder. Major Hector Blunt, Ackroyd's friend, a big game hunter, a guest of the household. He is secretly in love with Flora, present when the body was found. Geoffrey Raymond, Ackroyd's secretary, a young and energetic man in his profession, present when his employer's body was found. John Parker, Ackroyd's butler, claims to have not called out Shepherd to Fernley Park the night of Ackroyd's murder, is present when the body was found. Elizabeth Russell, Ackroyd's housekeeper, an attractive woman for her age. Ursula Bourne, Ackroyd's parlor maid, a lady of nobility forced into service through poverty. She is secretly married to Ralph, and is fired when she tells Ackroyd of this. Charles Kent, Russell's illegitimate son, a drug addict, recently arrived from Canada. He is encountered at Fernley Park's gates by Shepherd on the night of the murder. Caroline Shepherd, Dr. Shepherd's older spinster sister. She has a notable gift of staying informed on all activities in the village. Mrs. Folliot, Ursula's older sister, but concealed this fact when providing references for her to become a parlor maid of Ackroyd's. Mr. Hammond, Ackroyd's lawyer. Ship steward, an out-of-town, unknown male patient of Dr. Shepherd, later found to have made a telephone call to him from the local train station, which Poirot confirms by a telegram received from their ship. The book formed the basis of the earliest adaptation of any work of Christie's, when the play Alibi, adapted by Michael Morton, opened at the Prince of Wales Theatre in London on May 15, 1928. It ran for 250 performances with Charles Laughton as Poirot. Laughton also starred in the Broadway run of the play, retitled The Fatal Alibi, which opened at the Booth Theatre on February 8, 1932. The American production was not as successful, and closed after just 24 performances. The play was turned into the first sound film based on a Christie work. Running 75 minutes, it was released on April 28, 1931, by Twickenham Film Studios, and produced by Julius S. Hagan. Austin Trevor played Poirot, a role he reprised later that year in the film adaptation of Christie's 1930 play, Black Coffee. Alibi is considered to be a lost film. In 2002, the story was made into a Russian film whose title translates to Poirot's failure. This film version was overall quite faithful to the original story. The cast included Konstantin Raikin as Hercule Poirot, and Sergei Makovetsky as Dr. Shepherd. Orson Welles adapted the novel as a one-hour radio play for the November 12, 1939 episode of the Campbell Playhouse. Welles played both Dr. Shepherd and Hercule Poirot. The play was adapted by Herman J. Mankiewicz, produced by Welles and John Houseman, and directed by Welles. The novel was also adapted as a 1.5-hour radio play for BBC Radio 4, first broadcast on December 24, 1987. It was adapted by Michael Bakewell, and produced by Enid Williams. John Moffat made the first of his many performances as Poirot. John Woodvine played Dr. Shepherd. The Murder of Roger Ackroyd was adapted on January 2, 2000, as a 103-minute drama transmitted in the UK on ITV, as a special episode in their series, Agatha Christie's Poirot. In this adaptation, Jap, not Shepherd, is Poirot's assistant, leaving Shepherd as just another suspect. However, the device of Dr. Shepherd's journal is retained as the supposed source of Poirot's voice-over narration, and forms an integral part of the denouement. Adapted by Clive Exton and directed by Andrew Grieve, the plot strays considerably from the book. Ackroyd was changed to a more elderly, stingy man who owns a chemical factory, and disliked by many. Mrs. Ackroyd, the sister-in-law of Roger Ackroyd, is also not as zany as in the book version. The cast included David Suchet as Hercule Poirot, Philip Jackson as Chief Inspector Jap, and Oliver Ford Davies as Dr. Shepherd. The Murder of Roger Ackroyd was adapted as a 190-minute special drama, transmitted in Japan on Fuji Television on April 14, 2018, under the title, The Murder of Kuroido. Adapted by Koki Mitani and directed by Hidenori Joho, Mansai Nomura portrayed Takuro Suguro, based on the character of Hercule Poirot, and Yo Oizumi played Haisuke Shiba, based on the character of Dr. James Shepherd. The Murder of Roger Ackroyd was released by HarperCollins as a graphic novel adaptation on August 20, 2007, adapted and illustrated by Bruno Lacard. This was translated from the edition first published in France, by Emmanuel Proust Editions in 2004, under the title, Le Murder de Roger Ackroyd. Did you know? Before it was published in 1926, the novel was first serialized in the London Evening News as a 54-part serialization in 1925, titled Who Killed Ackroyd? By 1928, The Murder of Roger Ackroyd was available in Braille through the Royal National Institute for the Blind, and was among the first works to be chosen for transfer to gramophone record for their Books for the Blind library, in the autumn of 1935. Thank you for watching. See you again next time.